I want you to talk about two pieces that you've done that landed as finalists for the IACP Photography Awards. One I know quite well, and it is like the most perfect feast with a lobster. And it was like this Renaissance painting.
It was a collaboration. There's a woman who, I believe her handle is History Eats, and she goes around and she finds different oil paintings and they all incorporate food. So she'll post them and then she'll talk about the history of the food items that are featured. I reached out to her and said, I would love if you would pick a painting and then I would be charged with recreating the still life in my studio. So the picture, it's just a still life of all sorts of fruits and vegetables and lobster. It was actually based on an oil painting. It's from the 1600s. I looked at what was in the painting and I designed the set and sourced all the props and styled it myself and then styled the lighting specifically with that technique in mind. It was really fun. So that was the one most recently that was nominated.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Perfect Bite podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Perkins. In an era where the word aesthetic has become an adjective to mean something is beautiful, it's no doubt that looks do matter in a number of situations. But what I want to focus on today is really what great content does for us at the end of the day, to really feel something, to appreciate someone's artistic talent and understand exactly what they're trying to convey in a single snapshot, full of depth and complexity. Today's guest is a real expert at this, making food look so tantalizing on the page and plate that it makes you say, is that for real? Please welcome founder of Page and Plate Studio, Laura Scherb. Laura.
Sarah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to do this.
I'm so excited to have you on. We've been saying it forever, and we've just been having the best conversations lately that I'm so excited for everyone to listen to us yap here about.
I know.
But more importantly, I'm very excited for folks to listen in on your journey and the work you're doing, because we have so many cookbook enthusiasts and, people who love listening to founder stories coming in. And you really actually captured all of that behind the scenes. You are the person who is bringing brands to life. You're bringing these food images to life. We got to talk about the images that landed you in the finalist list for IACP and really what great imagery in general still does for us, especially in a world of full AI slop.
Yes, so important right now. And you hit the nail on the head. I mean, getting to provide imagery from people all the way from cookbook authors to CPG brand founders. It's such an amazing way to plug into people's stories. And I think that's what is at the heart of all the amazing work that you do and the work that I do. And I'm excited to chat more about it with you.
Yes. And I think folks are just going to be excited too, because imagery is just such an important part of marketing, of social media, of cookbooks, like when you're going through them. And you just you have a really special style too. And it feels like it's really coming out of a page or an image on your screen. So let's really get into it here. I always love to take things all the way back to the beginning. Tell us when you first fell in love with food. What was eating like growing up for you? What was cooking like in your household? What were you gravitating towards as a kid?
Yes, I was very, very fortunate. So both of my grandmothers were tremendous cooks, but they were very different in terms of style and how that came through. My dad's mom was very gourmet. She was cooking international cuisines before it was really cool and trendy. She brought a certain flair to the kitchen, and she was very much like, she had an apartment in the city and she was just very cool to me. She was the pinnacle of what food could be. And then my mom's mom, who I called Mama, was an absolute hostess to the mostest. She would whip up dinner for 30 of us without seeming to lift a finger. She was at the grocery store every single day. She knew the butcher by name. She was going to a farm stand every day and getting to know the farmers and the produce. And she really showed me what it meant to gather people you love around the table. So between those two, I had no choice but to go into food.
This is incredible. And so you grew up in Pittsburgh. Were both of your set of grandparents also in Pennsylvania?
Yes, my dad's mom was down in Pittsburgh in the city, and I was very fortunate. My grandparents on my mom's side were just 15-minute drive away from us.
Incredible. And so were you helping out in the kitchen at all? Were you kind of observing? What were you gravitating towards when it came outside of, helping big old plate here?
Exactly. I loved being in the kitchen. Some of my earliest food memories are making brownies with my dad while my brother and sister took their afternoon naps. My mom's mom let me dye mashed potatoes different colors. So doing some alchemy there and serving up green mashed potatoes to everyone, which was probably absolutely nauseating to the adults at the table. I was definitely in there and getting my hands dirty. And that is, I think, where I really started to realize that this had to be a part of my life forever.
This is incredible. You were like, I would like to present my art piece today, le mashed
Yes.
potato.
Yes, green, pink, blue, all the colors. Yeah, my mom still talks about how tough that was to actually eat them.
So they're like, oh my God, this looks like green eggs and ham goes potato.
Exactly, exactly. And it's so funny now to think back on that memory after meeting and collaborating with Emily Spurlin, my business partner through Kitchen Sink. We've done so many workshops on edible color, and she does it in a way that is just so glamorous and beautiful and so aesthetic, like you were saying. And the mashed potatoes were not that, but I've come full circle. So it means a lot.
You have. And I mean, even right before we jumped on this interview, I was looking through Instagram and one of your kitchen sink zine videos showed up around edible flowers. And like, you guys have a touch. You do. It's just so beautiful. And what a way to naturally add some color to the plate, too, especially as we go into summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I am really excited for that zine. We just released it. It's chock full of amazing resources for the expert gardeners and the people like me who are just starting to figure out how to actually grow their own flowers. But Emily is such a resource and she's such a great teacher, and collaborating with her is just the best.
Sounds like a good co-founder relationship right now, too, which I love. So you were obviously very creative growing up. You at least were going towards the artistic side of things. You love to write as well. Were you writing? That's what you ended up studying at Carnegie Mellon.
Yes, I had a big imagination. So I think that manifested itself in different forms. Certainly, I think I thought I was going to be a writer, whatever that meant growing up. So lots of storytelling, lots of coloring. I didn't get my hands on my first camera until college when I started taking photos as a part of travel. But I think I've always had, a real inclination to be creative and find different ways to express myself while also being incredibly type A and having to deal with sort of parsing out for myself what that meant and how that was going to manifest itself in my career.
I think that's interesting because you have to be so detail oriented, but at the same time, when it comes to artistry of any type and creativity, it very much has to be you. It cannot be this thing in a box. So I'm interested to hear more too, like how you've discovered that over time. But tell us first, you said you first grabbed a camera in college, going on some travels here. What was that feeling when you were first starting to work with a real camera versus the rest of us running around with like a little digital camera being like, hey, look at us at parties?
Okay, don't get me wrong. I did that too.
Yeah. Or like the Polaroids. That would be fun for us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I wish I remembered what made me pick it up in the first place, but the honest truth is that I have no clue. But I did, and that camera was actually the one that I re-picked up when I started getting into food photography specifically. So I don't know what drove that initial impulse, but I'm really grateful that for some reason I decided to buy a camera.
That just somehow felt like the medium that worked really well for you.
Yeah.
What's the camera model?
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember what that one was. I know it was a Canon. It was probably like a Rebel series, which I don't know if you're familiar, but very basic, not a lot of capabilities there, but a good starter camera for sure.
A good beginners here. So you didn't end up going into photography immediately, and the content and food styling side of things here, you were almost a little bit more academic. You were doing some marketing. What was that journey looking like? And when were you starting to feel almost that parallel pathway of, I think I want to do something different, and it has to do with photography?
Yeah, photography specifically came a little bit later. Right after college, I went into consulting work. I was doing governmental proposal writing for disaster relief and preparedness efforts. So very, very different, very intense work. I was really lucky to find myself at a company that just had amazing people working there. And I really do feel like that was the job that taught me how to be a professional, that taught me how to write emails that people could respond to and organize and put together teams and get things done. So I'm very grateful for that experience. But because it was so intense, I found myself really wanting a little bit of a release. So that's when I started my food blog, which is where the name Page and Plate comes from. The blog was focused on the books I was reading and the food I was eating. So every book that I would blog about had a meal paired with it, which was great until I realized that I was really eating a lot faster than I was reading. So it sort of took me into the world of, I dabbled in catering for a little while. I did a lot of classes where I would teach people how to cook, and I did some wine pairing classes, which were really fun. But when I got into the world of marketing and started doing social media for food brands, I realized that the photography was the piece that a lot of these brands and people really needed support for. And that's what kind of drew me back to that camera, picked it up, and the rest is history, as they say.
You were in that space where you're like, okay, I suddenly have to wear multiple hats again. Because even if you're within a startup or you are with a contractor, it's tough to stay in a single scope, to be honest. And especially during the time you were also jumping into social media, I'd say even today that photo and video content creation is still just so difficult and lacking with tiny teams, because there are folks that I work with who I'm like, hey, I can't do everything. We got to get you on camera. I need you to do this. You're the founder, you're the face, or let's get your product more in here. And it's really difficult for folks to sit down and say, like, yes, let's take the time, or let's take the money to get a real value behind it versus, I don't know, just use what we've got or grab some stock, or yeah, I've done some AI generation because there's just not stock for what I need out there to make something look interesting in a certain topic.
It's so difficult. And I tell my clients all the time, there's no judgment from me. A huge investment of time, resources. There has to be a point of contact who's willing to work with me and be a close partner. And if you are not ready for that yet, like, you get out that iPhone and you rock the content creation on your own. You go find the Sunas of the world and use them. If there's an AI tool that you feel like is going to really be a stopgap for you, do that first until you're really ready to invest in the time and money it takes to hire a photographer. Listen, I was doing my own accounting once upon a time, but now I have the time and space to hire an accountant. And thank God, because it's just so hard to wear so many hats. And I fully understand that. But I always tell my clients that is like, until you're ready for it, don't rush.
I think that's a great piece of advice as well. Or you're going to have the folks who go, well, I never need something better. But I think at the end of the day, quality really is what is going to stand out, and especially in just how crowded social is. And that's really where so much marketing is happening these days, that you have to do something that makes someone actually stop. And I recognize my own behavior. It's the bingo slot machine algorithm, literally, that they have taken this off of. And you just keep going and going without actually fully stopping and grasping what it is you're looking at.
Exactly.
Nuts. So tell us about the aha moment for Page and Plate Studio. So again, you've done some blog work, you start working with some food brands. You're like, oh, this is so cool. I've gone from this almost governmental side of things, disaster relief, which is such amazing work. Thank you for being part of that. But also thank you for being part of bringing our favorite brands to life here. When did you say, I'm going to go all in on this and bet on yourself?
It was probably about a year after I left the consulting firm. I had another job at the time and was really working on building up this thing, I think is probably how I called it. And I decided that I was just going to give myself 6 months and see what I could do with having full-time availability for my side thing. And that was in 2017. So I'm coming up very soon on 10 years of giving myself 6 months, which I don't quite know how that time has gone by so quickly, but I feel so grateful for all of my amazing clients and friends like you and the amazing Chicago community. It's just, it's gone by in the blink of an eye. And I'm so grateful for everyone who's been a part of the journey.
It's crazy. I mean, you are a testament that, did you have it on your calendar, or did you just recognize that one day, like, hey, I passed my 6-month mark and this is actually working?
Honestly, Sarah, I think I had my head down and I was hustling so hard that I probably didn't even think about how much time was passing.
You're just like, oh, wow, we did it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious to hear, because I think a lot of folks listening to, again, photography, I think is something in this world and like how we interact with each other now that I think we all wish we were a little bit better at. How can we get it crisper on the iPhone? How can we get those types of shots that are standing out versus I stand above my food and I'm like, this is flat. So tell us, because you didn't do any sort of photography classes, what were you doing in terms of the self-taught method as you were on the jobs for these food brands?
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. And I will say I did take a couple of online courses that really were helpful in starting to hone my eye. But yeah, I can't remember who it was who said if you don't look back at the first version of whatever creative venture you had and feel a little bit embarrassed, you didn't start in the right place. And I think about that a lot because 10 years ago, I was taking a very different type of photo than what I'm taking now. Over the years, I've first of all upgraded to a camera that I understand how to use on manual settings. So I know what changing the settings does. And I've taught myself and learned through some great creators like Rachel Korenek of Tulip Studio how to edit in Capture One, which just opens up doors, and Photoshop. And I've added artificial lighting into my wheelhouse. And all of those things have allowed me to build up over time my skill set to allow the studio setup that I have today. But those first photos were pretty rough. Maybe I'll send some to you and you can include them in the show notes.
Only in the sense that I would do a before and after with how incredible your work is now. Who were some of those first clients you were working with? What were some of those behind the scenes moments you can share with us in terms of like, hey, this is a big lesson I learned early on so that you could keep growing and that you weren't like, okay, I'll just give up. This sucks right now.
Yeah, I will give a shout out to Lowbucks. They were a Chicago-based brand. Founder Emily Griffith has been a really great friend and such an amazing supporter of everything I've been doing. She and I were just laughing together. We saw each other this winter at one of the food conferences. And we were saying it's incredible that we've been able to grow together because looking back, I think we met socially and I went over to her apartment and we just had a fun afternoon taking photos for her brand. And then last spring around this time, I shot her refreshed packaging for her updated product line and just thinking about how far she has come and I have come. And the fact that we are still working together is so magical. And she's just one of those amazing founders who took a chance on me and just can't say how grateful for her I am.
Yes, and she knew it paid off. That's another question I have for you is how did you learn to juggle really working with multiple brands and contracts? Because I've seen this, I've been on the other side of this, where especially when it's something along the lines of content creation, people get stingy because you can't really tie an ROI unless it's an ad campaign that the photo or the video is used in. And they're like, well, was it the photo? Was it the video? Was it the targeting? Was it the copy? What is it that had the better ROI here? And they're kind of going, what's the point then? So how did you navigate that difficulty of saying, here's what I'm worth and standing by that?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I honestly don't know if I will ever be done with the journey of really figuring out how to price myself in a way that feels fair to clients and fair to myself. I would love to meet the freelancer who says that they have that mastered and learn everything from them. And I think, too, as my skills have grown, obviously the number that I'm comfortable putting in front of clients has changed. But I will say I have, over the last couple of years, as I get deeper into the world of CPG founderism, which I know you're a part of and you understand and have such a library of knowledge about, as I'm diving into this world of editorial and cookbook, just learning as much as I can about the space that people are in and where they're coming from has helped me to understand where some of that resistance is and how to address it head on. So, for example, learning that one of the amazing clients I work with, it's a lot to ask her for the 50% deposit that I typically take from brands. So figuring out what feels fair to her and feels good to me and my billing schedule and doing like something that's more like, hey, we're going to do 30, 30, 40, or we're going to just kind of pace out these payments differently. So it feels a little more comfortable to you as a founder and a solo-led brand. I think just understanding where we're coming from. So it's not just feeling like it's a very personal, hey, that's too much money or you're not worth it. and demonstrating how I can be a partner to you in so many different ways has been really beneficial.
I think that's so empathetic of you too, because again, a lot of people might go, well, you can't pay my price, too bad. Or you can't do it the way I want it, too bad. I will find more clients. But I think in your case, you're kind of parsing it down too of, okay, what's the why behind this? Like, where can we find that middle? And I'm sure that then works well in terms of, again, referrals and long-term relationships and just not burning bridges so quickly because you're like, no, I'm willing to be a little bit more flexible because you're a founder, but you're also working with a lot of founders. So you totally get where they're coming from.
Exactly. And I'm so fortunate to, I had women who were in photography who were further into their journey than I was, refer people to me back when I was just getting started and tell their clients, look, she doesn't have quite as much experience as I do. She's hungry for it. And she might work with you for the lower rate that you're asking for. And now I feel so lucky to be able to pay that back and refer people to friends who I have who are just getting into this and kind of getting their feet wet and don't know where to start with charging and rates and all of that. And I think that that is, a rising tide lifts all boats, and being able to pass that along and just, again, like instead of just being like, nope, if you can't pay, I have nothing else to say to you, and open up a conversation. You're exactly right. It helps with referrals. I mean, I think it helps the whole community because then they understand a little bit more about what photography costs and they go to the next person and they have that knowledge. So they're able to have a more meaningful conversation there.
Yes. And let's also talk about the style aspect of it too, because your style might be different from your friends versus someone else. Tell us how you really developed your own style. So yours is like textural is the only word I can think of. Again, it pops off the plate. I feel like I can reach through and feel the food that is on the other side here. So how did you decide that style, that lighting, the way that you're editing photos is really what represents you?
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for saying that. My style, I think, has sort of just evolved as again, it's just been a lot of trial and error, but where I really feel like I hit my stride and started to craft the signature style that I think you're seeing in a lot of the photos is when I started adding artificial light into my practice.
So tell us more about that. What is that and how does it work?
Yeah, so I have strobe lights that they just sit on a tripod. And then I have a remote control that attaches to my camera that triggers the lights to flash whenever I press my shutter button, which is so important if you're in the Midwest where the weather is unpredictable and it's beautiful and sunny today, but yesterday it was really dark and gray and stormy. It just really standardizes the light that I have available. I can make it look like it's a cloudy day. I can make it look like it's a sunny day, and just learning how to manipulate that has been huge. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago that I started adding that in. And I have 2 lights and I'm thinking about adding a third, and that just sort of exponentially increases the number of setups you can do and the way that you can really evoke certain moments using light. And I think that's when, it was a light bulb moment, if you will forgive my joke there, but learning, like walking around and looking at the different ways that light is expressed in different places and times of day. And the way that light makes us feel has been an obsession of mine. So being able to understand how to replicate that with these artificial bulbs has been huge. And there's definitely a signature style that I love working with. Of course, not all my clients are going to like that and want that, and that's totally fine. I'm a little bit of a chameleon in that I understand how to do what they want to do. But if it's a photo I'm just taking from me, I'm trying to get that sunny feeling for sure.
Where do you get the most inspiration then for the shots that you're setting up so that you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, even if it's in the same style that you like to do?
Such a good question. I love travel. Travel, just, I think getting out of your everyday routine, even if it's just hopping on the metro and going downtown and walking around and looking at the tall reflective buildings, like it just kind of reminds your brain that there's so much else happening out there. And you don't have to fly to Italy to get the benefit of just changing up your everyday environment. Although, I'm never going to tell you not to fly to Italy. But yeah, just kind of getting out of this room that I am in. I work at home, so I look at the same walls. I see light coming in the same way every day. So how can I just get my brain out of that and go see something different?
That. And tell us too, like how it's different working with different types of clients. So bring us behind the scenes. What's it like to work on, say, a commercial food shoot versus something a little more editorial, or you get to be moodier or not, or some cookbook shoots, you know? Because when we were at Cherry Bomb together, you even leaned over during a session and had said, oh, yeah, that's definitely what happens behind the scenes for something. And I'm not as aware of just all of the roles that are happening and how you're all working together. So give us like a hint of what's it like to come into these different types of food scenes and what's everyone doing?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, we could spend the next 4 hours on this, but I'll try to make it brief. So, a commercial shoot is, let's stay in the world of CPG brands because it's either that or it's restaurants or something hospitality driven. But that is a shoot that the deliverables are photos that are meant to sell something, whether it's a meal at a restaurant or it's a pack of your favorite new potato chips. So we're coming at it from a very strategic place. So often I'm working with the marketing director of the company or whoever's in that CMO type position. And we're talking about the types of places that these images are going to show up. Are they going to be on your website? Are you going to put them on a billboard on the side of the highway? Are you going to use them on Instagram? Are they going to be on your product description pages, Amazon? And having all of the experience that I've had over the last couple of years, I understand how to make each image specifically for the place that it's going to end up. I also understand that for some people, that image needs to work in multiple of those categories. So just thinking about having all of that information ahead of time, there's a lot of prep that goes into a commercial shoot from the strategy side so I can understand how best to make the photos work for them. Once we get on set, there can be any number of people who are a part of bringing this vision to life. Sometimes I bring an assistant with me. She is someone who she'll stand at the computer and watch the photos come through and say, that was a little hot, we need to tone down the light. That was a little dark. The flash didn't go. She's just kind of watching, helping me smooth things out behind the scenes. Her name's Kristen. She's amazing. There could be a food stylist there. For example, King Arthur Flour. I have not worked with them yet. I would love to, but they
Manifesting.
They have someone who's baking all of the baked goods that you're showing on camera. So if there's a lot of food happening, I will bring in one of my many trusted food stylist friends here in Chicago to be the person who's in charge of all of that so I can focus on the camera. I love when my clients are on set. First of all, it's so fun. We have an amazing time. I buy everyone lunch. I buy you coffee. We get to hang out all day. You get to scream, that's a wrap. It's just a really nice time. And it is so great to have them there and say, I love that, or hey, we need to tweak this a little bit. So the client could be on set. And then the other person who could be on set is a model. So in a lot of the really effective commercial photography that CPG brands are using, there's often a hand. Or you can just see someone's body as they're holding, a cold beer or whatever. So having that person on set to be the hands body of the ideal customer can be really important. Generally, that's as big as my sets get for commercial work. There's a world where we're bringing in like digital producers and all these insane other people, lighting teams. I don't tend to get involved with those unless I'm there as the food stylist. So the commercial world can scale like crazy. And so can the world of editorial and cookbooks.
Yes.
So yeah, those are super fun. And they also can flex to be as big or as small as you want to. So some of the cookbooks that I've done, I am the stylist. I am the creative director. I am the prop stylist. That's the other person who can be there for a commercial shoot. I am the photographer. I'm doing it all. It's a lot of work though. So other times bringing in food stylists, again, bringing in the author, bringing in the publisher, making sure that everyone gets to see what's going on and weighing in. Those teams can get, as big or as small as they need to. The cookbook that I shot most recently, we had quite a few people joining remotely to give opinions on the photos and how they were coming through. So it ended up being, it was just me and the author who was styling on set, but then we had this virtual room with all of these amazing people helping out and giving opinions, and it's really fun. It's such a team effort, and it just makes it so rewarding to collaborate with such talented people.
It's incredible. Thank you for giving more detail to that because, again, depending on folks' budget or the scale of production, like you could be wearing all of these different hats. So the recent shoot you did was like 4 or 5 days, right?
Yes, it was a 5-day shoot for 35 recipes.
Oh my goodness. Do you ever help with recipe development for
I
anyone?
do.
Yes.
Yeah. I've done that now with 2 cookbook projects and it's been really fun. I guess I should say it's a lot of scaling recipes and then doing testing and then managing the testers. Less so like developing from scratch.
Average, like how many shots are you getting of a single recipe? Or like either number of shots or time period that it takes for folks to really understand what it takes to get the perfect image that they're seeing in these books?
So, for example, the cookbook that I just wrapped a couple weeks ago. So, we had 5 days to get 35 recipes shot. 3 of the recipes were cover options. So, you have to plan to spend much more time on those because there's a lot of considerations. You want it to be as close to perfect as you can get if it's going on the cover. One of those days, the author has some severe allergies. So, one of those days, I actually shot recipes at my house instead of at her place. I hired another stylist to come in and help me with that. So that day we did only 2 recipes, but the other days you're trying to accomplish anywhere between like 7 to 9 recipes a day. And for that reason, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. So I review the recipes. I talk with the food stylist. I see from their perspective, do certain recipes need to be shot first versus last? We love to finish on cocktails, of course, because then you get to enjoy them. So we try to break it down. And there's a spreadsheet that tells you exactly what recipe we're shooting when. And generally, I give about a half hour on set for each recipe and then a 15-minute breakdown setup period. So roughly 45 minutes per recipe, which feels like so much to say out loud. Like, how could you possibly look at a plate of pasta for 45 minutes? But then in practice, it goes so fast. So that's part of my role on set for cookbooks is saying, okay, so we've been looking at the spaghetti for 42 minutes now. We really need to move on if we're going to stay on schedule, or if we want to revisit it, let's put that, to day 5 where we've left a little bit of buffer time, which we try not to do, but it's important to always have some backup time there.
Yes. And are folks ever trying to make you move faster in terms of budget? Or are you like, nope, this is the retainer. That's what's going to happen here.
For cookbook shoots, everyone is so patient because they know how important good images are for the cookbooks. And everyone is so experienced, honestly, that we all understand we're not pushing this. It would be huge time and expense. And also, just no one wants to add on to that workload if they can help it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you do when you're going home to help prep yourself to get ready for the next marathon day when you are in these shoot weeks?
Yeah. Well, I'm very fortunate. My husband pitched in on cooking dinners and having things ready for me so I could kind of just get home and be horizontal, which was lovely. But every night I'm getting home and I'm backing everything up and making sure we have multiple copies in case the worst should happen. I'm looking at the prep list for tomorrow, making sure we have all the props gathered, making sure that the backdrops are ready, the batteries are charged, all the sort of behind the scenes, not so glamorous stuff.
You got to do it in the meantime. And then again, like shoot days are so fun, but they are exhausting. It doesn't matter like what position you're in because you're like, whoa, this is a lot of tiny, tiny work to make it perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a marathon, but it is such a fun marathon and it's so rewarding. Nothing can ever come close to the feeling of thinking about that intense time and then getting the book in your hands and being able to flip through. It's so rewarding and just feels so amazing. And you kind of forget how hard it was. Like immediately, as soon as I wrapped up that production, I was like, I want to do this again, We
got to get you doing more. We got to get you to do your own one day too, because you have so many skills that I think we need to see a Laura Scherb cookbook, the page and plate.
Maybe one day. For now, I'm just so thrilled to be the partner helping other people bring theirs to life.
It's so beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to nerd out for like the last 15 minutes with you as well, because I felt a little selfish being like, now tell me more about this, because it's just a natural curiosity I have too of what does it really take to make this look so great. And like you said too, it sounds like so much of the work happens during the shot itself. It's not about your editing after. I imagine you want to edit as little as possible.
That's always the goal, of course, to get it great in camera and then just be able to enhance through editing. That doesn't always happen, and that's totally fine. But especially for cookbooks, I feel it's really important to portray the recipe accurately. So if something's not working on camera, let's figure out if that's a recipe problem or if something else is happening and make sure that we get it in camera as good as we can.
Absolutely. I want you to talk about two pieces that you've done that landed as finalists for the IACP Photography Awards. So tell folks like how important IACP is, what it is, and what it means to be recognized by your peers. When you saw these two shots that ended up in the finalist level, were you convinced yourself like, yeah, this is really fucking good?
It stands for the International Association of Culinary Professionals, and they have been a fabulous learning resource for me. I've been a member now for probably about 6 years, and yeah, I mean, it's been tremendous. I went to my first conference this past fall, and I learned so much and met so many amazing people. Would highly encourage anyone who is looking to become a publishing professional, or if you're in the space as a chef, definitely investigate. Great people there. Yeah, I have no words. I'm so grateful to have been recognized twice by them. I mean, the people who are in that room are some of the photographers that I've looked up to for years and years. So I definitely felt a little bit of imposter syndrome in terms of who am I to be in this room right now? But it was a huge honor. And I have no words. I have no words still.
Describe the shots. One, I know quite well. And it is like the most perfect feast with a lobster that you've ever seen. And it was like this Renaissance painting, especially
exactly.
It looks like an oil painting. It is stunning. So describe both for folks. Because again, I'll add these somewhere like within videos. But again, if folks are just listening in, what were the types of shots that really gathered folks' attention for this?
Yeah, so the one that you're referring to, and thank you so much for your sweet feedback. It was a collaboration. There's a woman who I believe her handle is History Eats, and she goes around and she finds different oil paintings and they all incorporate food. So she'll post them on her account and then she'll talk about the history of the food items that are featured because it's rife with symbolism and there's so much historical context. And I'm a huge nerd, so I have loved following her and her work. And I reached out to her and said, I would love if you would pick a painting and then I would be charged with recreating the still life in my studio. So that the picture, it's just a still life of all sorts of fruits and vegetables and lobster. I used a fake lobster for that one, though I couldn't deal with the real thing.
I get that.
It was actually based on an oil painting. It's from the 1600s. I want to say it's called Still Life with Goblet. I will double check that for you. But, I looked at what was in the painting and I designed the set and sourced all the props and styled it myself and then styled the lighting specifically with that technique in mind. It was really fun. So that was the one most recently that was nominated. And then previously it was a photo of just 2 cups, one of espresso and one of a cappuccino that I took while I was on vacation in Italy. So that just meant the world to have that recognized.
I will look this up too because, well, again, Italy and caffeine can't get any better than that. But you have a touch. And clearly, like you said, like even though there are some folks in the room that you're looking up to, you're part of that group. You've really entered it. And you're such a wonderful community member as well. So not only are you part of Cherry Bomb, IACP, you are on the board of Les Dames Escoffier of Chicago. That's, again, women who are in food and hospitality across the country. And tell us a little bit more about this work with pastry chef Emily Spurlin, who's become your co-founder in Kitchen Sink. So you like to be involved in community and leading it, which is amazing. And you like to have lots of plates spinning.
Yes.
At the same time.
I am so grateful that I landed in Chicago. I mean, you know as well as I do, the community of women in and around the food space here is unrivaled. They are my best friends. They are the people that I turn to when I have a great idea or I need to be talked out of a bad idea. And I'm so grateful to have found this community here. So I love to be so involved, and that's probably a strength and a weakness. And that's how I've gotten my finger in so many pies here. But my work with Emily, yes. My work with Emily is really special. It's actually been formalized into an entirely separate business called Kitchen Sink Studios. Emily and I have the same birthday, which is how we met online the first time. And when we got coffee for the first time in real life, it was just like we were meeting again after having been best friends in a past life. And so her creative energy and my ideas just kind of took off. We've been leading culinary retreats in the Driftless region of Wisconsin for the last couple of years together. We've been collaborating on editorial work through Edible Chicago and through our new Kitchen Sink zine series for the last couple of years. And this fall, we are doing the most exciting thing that we've done so far. And we're taking a group of 8 women to Normandy for a week. And we're going to go on a culinary tour. Emily's going to do some live baking sessions with the amazing apples that are found in that region. I'll be leading some photography workshops, and we are so excited for that.
This is incredible. How did you two decide this is the type of work you want to do? And again, turn this into a second business for you. So you've got a couple of different revenue streams you've got going on here.
Yeah, I think, the thing that I am so grateful for Emily for is just when we are together and kind of spitballing and brainstorming, we just get each other so fired up, and things that once felt very impossible to take on all of a sudden feel really possible and really exciting. So I don't know if we really had a plan necessarily when we met up for the first time, but just nurturing each other's creativity and ideas have taken us literally around the world.
Do you imagine you're going to be doing more international and national trips with Kitchen Sink?
Definitely, yes. Keep an eye out for Southwest Michigan in spring of 2027 and other international destinations beyond that. I would love to take us to Italy. We've talked about Portugal, Ireland. We have lots of big plans.
Yes. We went to Mexico City last year. I truly cannot get enough of it. And so I think Mexico City needs to be on your list, not only, again, from the food perspective, but just the natural colors there are incredible.
They really
There's just
are.
so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wish granted. We'll add it to the list.
Okay, I'll go this one. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, so as you're tackling all of these different elements of your business, what are you doing in terms of keeping an eye on the future, what you want that growth to look like, how you are thinking of this, not just as a creative outlet, but as a business, as your own brand, but at the same time, like, what are you doing to make sure you can keep going and make those dreams happen?
I think this comes right back to the community that we were just talking about. Surrounding myself with women who have their own really exciting, amazing things going on keeps me excited about what I am doing. And I'm so grateful for a community that can be there for me in the moments where I don't really have a lot of client work and there's not a crazy amount of things going on and I'm starting to get worried about that. They are there to nurture me, reassure me that things are going to get back to normal, and say, hey, do you want to collaborate on something fun just because in those moments? And they're also there for me in the season where I am so busy, I can't see straight, to say, like, I know you're over the top right now, but when you're done, let's plan on getting a glass of wine and just catching up because I want to hear all about it. And I think it's all because of them that I'm constantly feeling inspired and energized and like not even just want to keep going, but have to, because what's in the future is so exciting.
I will say, as someone who's now been I'm in Chicago forever, but I've been away from the city in terms of fully living there for almost 2 years now. There is nothing I have felt better than getting together with my girlfriends and getting in a room with acquaintances or women who I'm just meeting who are interested in the same things. Like, we need our girlfriends, basically.
Absolutely.
Again, not knocking Columbus. It's just not the same environment that I've found in terms of finding that community so quickly.
Yeah, and it's so collaborative too. There's never any sense that anyone's competing with each other or, oh, I have to hide this because I don't want anyone else to find out about it. It's so collaborative, so open, so supportive. It's the best. And we miss you.
That's what you need. I'm in and out. Don't you worry. I don't think it's ever goodbye forever. That's for sure.
Good. We won't accept that. So
I know. Need to make enough money for pied-à-terres in multiple cities, basically.
Exactly. That's your vision board.
I love that. Yes. I'm little city mouse, country mouse kind of feel. That would feel good.
Yes, yes.
Now, before we get into our last few questions here, because I know you've got a busy day ahead of you, I have to ask you, what are your predictions or thoughts around AI? And what are some pieces of advice for folks who are within the space to say, like, keep going, or honestly, even some tools you've picked up that you're like, actually, this is really helpful?
Yeah, it's such a complicated subject. I mean, like I was telling you, if a brand is just starting out and they have no other option, I'm not going to judge anyone for using AI to generate photos. I think I would tell people on the client side, you really need to make sure that you're watching text, you're watching your actual product. I would absolutely never use AI for anything editorial or recipe focused. So I'll just say that. And again, if you're using it to incorporate your product into it, just be careful because it can do some really weird things. And people have a really good sense of when you're using AI and when you're not. So it's always going to be worth it to just wait and invest in real photography. In terms of photographers, I mean, I would say the same thing. People can tell when it's AI and when they're being fooled. And it looks weird, it looks bad, and people still want real photography at the end of the day. So I think don't get discouraged, but also have a conversation, explain these things, do a little education with your clients. I myself, I don't use a ton of AI in my photography work. I guess Photoshop has some generative AI tools that have been really helpful for specific edits, but I'm not using any external tools like that. And I don't really know what's even out there, to be honest with you. So I haven't dipped my toe in just yet, but I would say AI is so touchy, just be willing to have a conversation about it across the board and understand where someone else is coming from. And we'll all make it out of this okay.
That. Yes, because again, for me, like when I look at some new technology, I'm like, I don't want to fall behind because that's worse than anything, right? Being like that resistant. But like you said, there are also times where it's trends or people are saying like, actually, we really didn't want that. And then it starts to die down in some areas too. So good and bad for sure. Ah, Laura, I hate this. I mean, I'm going to talk to you soon, but everyone else doesn't get to hear you after this for now. A couple last questions. What are you most proud of? And tell us what you're looking to do in terms of growth and pushing your own personal mission forward.
Wow, that's such a huge question. I am someone who never wants to stop learning. So, like I was telling you about adding a third light into my studio setup and figuring out what new superpower that will give me in terms of replicating a light that I saw somewhere on vacation. I want to learn more about Photoshop and retouching. Like the big, really intense retouching jobs have always been super alluring to me. And I just found a new course that I'm going to sign up for, and I'm really excited about it. So, forever looking to just keep moving forward. I don't want to stagnate. Cookbooks are somewhere that's really, I feel pulled by a force outside of myself to do more cookbook work. I'm having some really exciting conversations right now about self-publishing in particular that I'm really excited about and excited to learn more about that space and learn how I can be a good partner there. But again, I mean, I'm so proud of the community that I am surrounded with and that I have peers who will send me links to the classes they find about those very technical things I want to learn and be there to support and talk about all these new projects I want to take on and be the one writing the recipe for these self-published cookbooks. The community that I am a part of, who are all doing their own amazing things, I just have so much pride for them and that I'm just so honored to be a part of.
You're so sweet. I mean, like, such a humble answer. Your kitty cat was also saying, like, we agree, mommy.
Yes. She's always here to give some meows.
There are times people don't realize, like, I have a cat's claws in my thigh as I'm talking to people because Maud's like, get off. So
yes,
we always love
they
a
are the boss
surprise
of us.
appearance.
Yes,
Very much
yes.
so. What is one piece of advice you'd like to give anyone who's trying to start something of their own? So whether it's in food and bev, whether it's in that media space, anything entrepreneurial.
I think find your people and ask for help because people don't know what you need until you say, I'm really looking for someone who can help me with this. And they might not be the one who has the time to be able to do that for you, or they might not be the one who has the skills. But I bet you, especially if you're talking to a woman, you will be connected to someone who can help you out and support you.
Beautiful. Laura, it's time. You know what's happening here. A little reminder for folks. This is called The Perfect Bite because it's not only a perfect bite of our friends in the food and bev value chain, but because we each have our own perfect bites. So a recipe, a moment, something you've eaten that every time you think about it, it makes you smile. So Laura, what is your perfect bite?
Oh, Sarah, I have two. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just my two
It's your
in my
answer.
life with the commercial and editorial side. So I have an answer for both. So my commercial answer is an unbothered cracker with some brie cheese on top, drizzled with some non-prick pow. Those are, I mean, if you're coming over to my house, that's what the appetizer is going to be.
Gorgeous.
It never gets old. So good. And then my very heady romantic answer is last year around this time, I had the privilege of being commissioned to shoot a wine tour through central Italy. And one of the dinners that we had there was a completely foraged dinner by this amazing young woman who is just like a chef who cooks with all of the ingredients that she finds around Tuscany. And one of the courses had a fig leaf, just like a very small baby fig leaf. And it was the most sensual bite I think I've ever taken. The perfume, the taste, it was totally transportive, totally unexpected. And I think about it all the time.
God, they're both so you. And if I'm going to Italy with anyone, it's you.
Okay. I'm going to write that down.
You're clearly having the best time. So we got to do it
it's amazing.
sometime.
Very lucky. Very lucky.
Well, I've been lucky and everyone's been very lucky to listen in to your story, your wisdom, everything you're working on. Laura, can you let folks know where to find you? So social accounts, website, Substack, and anywhere else that they can join your journey of bringing things alive on the page and plate.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram at Page and Plate Studio, and then Kitchen Sink is Kitchen Sink Studio. Pageandplate.com is where you can find all my work and information and portfolio if you are interested in working together. And my Substack is pageandplate.substack.com.
And folks, definitely sign up because Laura is just as great of a writer as she is a photographer. And you just get whisked into her beautiful world that I'm now so lucky to also be part of. So thank you.
Gosh. Well, thank you. This has been so wonderful. Your questions are so thoughtful, and I love any chance to chat with you.
I know, me too. Laura, thank you again so much. And everyone, thank you for listening in. This was Laura Scherb's Perfect Bite.
Thanks for tuning in to The Perfect Bite today. You can listen to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thanks in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You can follow The Perfect Bite on social media at Perfect Bite Pod. Now go get something good to eat.